Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is that special time of the year, and by year I mean month, and by special I mean it's time for my TBR game. So today I am filming this on Sunday, the 29th of November, and I'm going to film my TBR for the month of December. The way I do this is by doing a rip-off of Cards Against Humanity with a little game called Books Against Humanity. Before we start, I want to go through the books that I was meant to be reading for the month of November, thanks to the last game, which was the very first time that I played it. Let's see how I did last month. So, I had to read Clown in a Cornfield, and I did read it and finish it. I had to read Bunny, and that was part of a buddy read with my friends, so I also vlogged about it, and yes, I did finish this book. I picked The Whisper Man by Alex North, and I've just finished editing a vlog for this, so it will be up soon on my channel, so yes, I did finish this book as well. I also wanted to buddy read My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier with my mom, and we both finished it, and both rated it the same, which was 3 stars, so not great. I also had picked The Inheritance Games, and I really enjoyed that one and gave it 5 stars actually. So yes, I did finish that one. Then as part of a book club, I had also picked Black Sun, but I DNF'd this one. So I count it as I did read it because I DNF'd it. It wasn't just, oh, I can finish it later and it'll be fine. It's a choice. I just decided that it wasn't for me, mostly just because it's not the genre that I thought it was. Judging by the cover and the summary, the synopsis, everything about this book, I really thought I was plunging into fantasy sci-fi, and when I started reading it and I got to, I think, 2 chapters down or something, I started realizing this is pure fantasy, and I don't personally like the genre of pure fantasy. It's not something that I enjoy reading all that much, and I really just didn't want to put myself through a book that I knew I could finish, that I knew could be really good, but just wasn't something that I wanted to read, and so could potentially put me in a reading slump. So I decided to DNF this one. And lastly, the last book on my list was Pine by Franzen Toon. I haven't finished this one, but I am currently reading it. I've read about 50 pages of it, so there's about a bit less than 300 pages left still, so I have today, Sunday, and tomorrow, Monday to finish it. I think I'm gonna be able to do it, and even if I have like the last 50 pages for Tuesday or something, I think that's fine. So yes, I'm counting this one as finished. That's it for the books that I read as part of my TBR game for the month of November. I actually read a lot more books, but they weren't part of the game, they were just outsider books. So I will be talking about those in my wrap-up videos that you'll be able to see very soon on my channel. And before we begin truly, I also just want to give you guys a huge thank you, because I've seen as I'm filming this video that I'm almost at 200 followers, and it makes me feel so happy and so warm and fuzzy inside to think that almost 200 people want to actually see what I have to say, which sounds ridiculous. And it's just so freaking cool, so huge thank you to you guys. It just makes me so happy because I kind of started this thinking I'm gonna read more books, and goal achieved. And this is just the cherry on top. So yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling now and start what you guys came here for, which is my TBR game. So my TBR game is based off Cards Against Humanity. I know that some other people have done a similar game based off the same Cards Against Humanity game. So please do go and check out their videos as well, because I feel like everyone here in this community is super creative and super inventive and super original, and it's great. And I've seen so many other people creating amazing games and been inspired by them to create this one, including, and obviously this is a very extensive list, so just to cite a few, there's Bookopoly, and there's a Trivial Pursuit version of a TBR game, there's a Dart Attack one, and then there's like a Wheel of TBR. There's so many out there, and it's just really fun to watch. So because of that, last time I decided to create this game, which is Book Against Humanity, based off Cards Against Humanity. This is the box that I created. Here you go, you can see it slightly better. Yes, as I'm a designer by day and a bit of a geek, I wanted to create a proper little game with, you know, professionally made cards. So I created them and then sent them off to a printing company that specializes in card games. So it looks amazing and I couldn't be happier. I printed, you know, the rules on the other side of the box. And my cards are separated into two decks, kind of like Cards Against Humanity. So you have a turquoise deck and a yellow deck. The turquoise deck are my questions. Things like a fantasy novel, that which. And then there's a blank. And I answer the blank with my yellow cards, which are my answer. For instance, this one, I pick at random from my Goodreads TBR list. So then I match two cards together, and that's how I create what prompt I have to give myself to pick a book from, my extensive TBR list. What I do is that I pick 8 cards from the yellow deck because I consider that I can read about 8 books in a month minimum, and then I pick 1 card at a time from the turquoise deck. So I, shuffle the decks and then pull one from the top and then see how I can answer it with my hand of 8 cards from this deck. So I know all my answers already, I just don't know the question yet. Once I've decided which one matches, which one works as a grammatical sentence as well, I can pick a book that matches that prompt. However, I am allowed to switch my hand, but I cannot just switch one card. So if I realize that I can't answer the next question, I am allowed to, pick a new whole hand of 8 cards, or however many I have left to pick from. So let's say I've already picked a few and I have 6 cards left. I have to swap all of my 6 cards in order to swap just one. And I have to use that new hand in the next round. So I'm not allowed to swap again and again. This month there are 2 books that I'm going to try to fit into this TBR game. And these are The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, because this is the book pick from my book club with my friends Leanne and Becky that we are doing monthly, and for the month of December we picked Addie LaRue. The next book that I'm going to try to fit in there is The Only Good Indians, because this is the book club pick for Kyla's book club. Her channel is Books and Lala, and she has a book club called the Literally Dead Book Club, and this was the month of November. So I know that this is for the month of December that I'm going to be reading it, but usually she does her live shows kind of mid-month-ish, so I still have about 10 to 15 days to read this, which made me think maybe I can fit it into December instead of November. The rest is up to the cards. So I learned my lesson last time, and I had a couple of wild cards that came up from my question deck, which means I pick whatever I want. In order not to make things too easy, so this deck of cards is doubled up, which means that each card is there in double, in order to have more questions to pick from. So this is the wild card. This is the wild card, and obviously it appears in 2, so I'm gonna take 1 out because otherwise it's not fair, and last time it appeared twice. I also have one of my answers or questions, I can't remember, is a mood read, which kind of is a wild card as well. So, shuffling. So let's pick 8 cards from this deck. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have blank without knowing much about the story. Blank has a title in 2 words. Blank I do not own physically yet. Blank is set in the past. Blank has an author whose name starts with the letter, and then I have to randomize that letter. Blank I'm most excited to read this month. Blank I ask a friend to pick out of 5. And blank is the same as or similar to the last one I read. Okay, let's see what my first question is. Oh, fuck. Wait, no, that works. Okay. A horror novel, that which. That's perfect because The Only Good Indians is a horror novel. So what can I match with this? So I don't think I've got any other horror novels that I was particularly planning to read in the month of December. So I think what I'm going to be using is a horror novel which I am most excited to read this month. So here's the first book in my pile. I don't know much about the story at all. A tale of revenge, cultural identity, and the cost of breaking from tradition in this latest novel from the Jordan Peele of horror literature, Stephen Graham Jones. Seamlessly blending classic horror and a dramatic narrative with sharp social commentary, The Only Good Indians follows 4 American Indian men after a disturbing event from their youth puts them in a desperate struggle for their lives. Trapped by an entity bent on retribution, these childhood friends are helpless as the culture and traditions they left behind catch up to them in a violent, vengeful way. That's all I know about this. Okay, let's pick my second prompt. So the second question is a mood read. Normally a mood read, which I did pick last month as well, means a book that I'm just going to be reading for, you know, when I'm in the mood for it. So as long as I read 8 books in total and one of them is just not on the list of the 7 other ones that I'm going to pick, this works. So the next question I have is a genre that which? For this, I could have is the same to the last one I read. So basically any book from the same genre as Pine, which is a thriller. So a genre that I read last, basically. I think for this one I'm gonna make it easy on myself and just read one of my last buys, which is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, which I don't know much about either. I'm just like here telling you nothing about these books. In 1982, this woman, Viv Delaney, wanted to move to New York City, and she decides to take a job as a night clerk in the Sundown Motel. But she feels like something isn't right about the motel and that there's something haunting and scary. Back in nowadays, I guess like 2017, Carly Kirk has never been able to let go of the story of her Aunt Viv. So she's this woman's niece, and apparently this woman disappeared mysteriously at the Sundown before Carly was even born. She decides to move to Fell and to visit the motel, where she quickly learns that nothing has changed since 1982, and she soon finds herself ensnared in the same mysteries that claimed her aunt. So that's everything I know about this book. It's literally just the synopsis. But I think this works great because I bought it really recently, and usually the books that I buy the most recently are the ones that I'm most excited about. So that's 3 books down, 5 to go. My next question is a fantasy novel that which? Wait, Edge La Rue is a fantasy novel. Yes, it's set in the past. It's set in France 1714. Wait. Because that's when it starts. But I feel like that counts. Okay, I think I'm gonna use this because I'm not entirely sure and I might be wrong. So, you know, I just haven't started reading it yet, so I have no idea. But it does say that it starts when she makes this pact with the devil of some sort, and it's in 1714. So it is a fantasy novel and it is set in the past, I believe, partially. If I'm wrong, fuck. If I'm not, then great, that works. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you. This is basically the prompt that I got for this. 4 to go. A thriller that which? Oh great. I can put another thriller in there. Okay, so I have Asking a Friend to Pick Out of 5, an author whose name starts with a random letter, or I don't own physically yet, or has a title in 2 words. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do is ask a friend to pick this thriller out of 5 thrillers. So let me show you my selection first. Good Girl, Bad Blood, which is a sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It's a YA thriller. The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I've only read one book by Ruth Ware, which was One by One, which I mediocrely enjoyed. My Sister the Serial Killer, which has been on my TBR for a million years. I gotta admit, I'm not entirely sure I really want to read it this month, but I am putting it in there. Then Murder on Mystique by Anne Glenconner, which is a really recent one and a recent acquisition that I literally bought this month, so I would be quite excited for this. And Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, which is just one of the classics by Agatha Christie that I really want to get to and that I have not read yet. Okay, so I have just sent a message on Marco Polo to my best friend, obviously in French, because we're both Belgians and she lives in Belgium and we speak in French together. So I've just sent her the 5 picks and I am asking her to pick one. She's currently watching my Marco Polo, so I'll be waiting a little bit and see whether she answers soon.
J'ai trop la pression. Ok, alors de ce que tu m'as dit, je vais prendre, je pense que c'est le deuxième, avec la fille au père et qui est en prison et tout, parce que en vrai ça m'intrigue. C'est le genre d'histoire
Okay, so she chose The Turn of the Key, and she was really hesitating between that one and Murder on Mystique because I said that that was the one I was most excited for, but I am really excited to read this. So as far as I know, this is about an au pair who is sending a letter from prison to a lawyer saying, please represent me, I did not do this murder. And the murder in question is of one of the children in the house that she was keeping. Except that she says that mysterious stuff was happening, and I think it's got something to do with a haunting and like ghosty shit and like horror shit. I have no idea what is happening in this book. I don't even know whether it is pure thriller and we're gonna have a reasonable explanation by the end, or if it's part horror and there's actually mysterious forces at play here. So on to my next pick. I have 3 books left to pick from. Next question. No, that's okay. I got another mood read, which I think is a cheat, so I'm not gonna use that one. I should have taken it out because I feel like, because they double up, I'm gonna take that one out. So, take 2. A Story That Witch. Well, that's also kind of a cheat, but I have to make it match one of my prompts. Let's see what I have on my Kindle first, and that I don't own physically yet, and I can pick maybe something from there. No, I own this, I own this. I think most of them I own physically. I have a couple of romances in there. I have Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and The Kiss Quotient, which I do not own physically. I feel like for December that could be quite nice actually, so I think I might pick that. I might take a book that I don't own physically. And I'm gonna pick Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I'm gonna pick Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Based on the prompt, a story that I do not own physically yet. But I think this is perfect because I'm gonna go home for Christmas on the 20th of December or something like that. And when I do go, I don't want to carry a lot of books with me physically. So it would be perfect to use my Kindle, so my phone, in order to read some there. And so I think like a light romance read like that would be absolutely perfect. That leaves me with 2 books to pick. The next question is an adult novel that which I could have that has a title in 2 words, has an author whose name starts with a random letter that I have to randomize, and that's it, because the last one doesn't really work with any of those. I'm gonna use this prompt, an adult novel that has a title in 2 words, which works perfectly with Anxious People by Frederick Blackman, which I literally bought last, I think. It's one of the last books I've received physically. And yeah, I know that I'm, again, this month picking only books that I've bought recently rather than older books on my TBR, but in defense of myself, busy season for my work starts now, and I'm extremely busy with work and therefore way more stressed, and I feel like when I'm stressed I'm never going to be able to go through a book that I don't really want to read. So I think it's a good plan for me to, you know, be nice with myself and treat myself to the newest books on my list, so this would be perfect for that. I believe this book talks about an accidental bank robber or something like that, and the guy in question and all of his hostages are people who have some kind of grievances from their past and heavy stories to share and things like that, and basically are all looking to be rescued in some way or another, including the bank robber. That's all I know from the synopsis about this book, and therefore I can't tell you much else. Final pick. Final showdown. I have 2 cards left, which are has an author whose name starts with a random letter or without knowing much about the story. So grammatically this could only work with something like a book that I bought or something like that. Is it cheating if I stop myself from using these? I got the wild card and it's kind of like to pick whatever book I want. I don't know if I want to use it. Hello. I don't know if I want to use it, if I'm honest. So am I cheating? Because I already have a mood read, so that's only 6 books that I've picked. I kind of want to pick another one. Let me see what I get. A book that which, oh god, that's also like a wild card. I can make it anything fit. So it could be the randomized author, or I could swap my cards as well if I wanted to. Okay, so I'm just going to be using this. Spin. What is it showing me? Come on. B. B. Do I have a book that has an author whose name starts with the letter B. Let's see, because I can't think of anyone. Oh, Bridget Collins, The Betrayals. Okay, so I have a book. Chambers, Lee Bardugo. I could read Ninth House, but I don't really want to. I'm gonna be combining some videos for this. I'm gonna pick this terrifying, horrible notice cover, Hush Hush, by Becca Fitzpatrick, which is a book that I bought as part of my series for I Read the 10 Best Paranormal Romance Series according to Goodreads. So this one is on the list. I haven't gotten to filming part 3 yet, and I believe this is the first one in part 3. So I could get a head start in December. Don't know if I'm gonna get to the other 2 that are left. I believe there's only 2. Or is it 3? Fuck. Let's see. But anyway, I can definitely pick this one as a letter B because her name is Becca. All I know about this book is that I have seen people compare it to, basically it's heavily inspired by / a rip-off of Twilight. I have no idea what else it talks about. I believe probably angels based on the cover. That's all I know. And I know it's a paranormal romance and I believe it's YA. That's all I know. Here are my 7 books plus a mood read for me to pick during the month of December. So we have Hush Hush, Anxious People, The Turn of the Key, The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, The Sundown Motel, and The Only Good Indians. I feel like that's quite a big, good batch. Okay, so that's everything I'm going to be reading in the month of December, plus another book which will be a mood read. I might very well pick another romance book. Oh wait, no. Okay, when I said 7, I meant 6 because I forgot. I'm also going to be reading Get Alive, Chloe Brown, which is also on my list. I forgot to mention that one, so I just don't have it physically. But here are the 6 physical books that I'm going to be reading, plus Get Alive, Chloe Brown, and a mood read. That's it. I have been filming for so long. It is quite late. I haven't eaten dinner yet, so I'm going to be doing that next. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, interact with me. I always answer, I promise. Consider subscribing, ringing the bell, all that jazz. And I will see you guys next time.